Apprentice now, Dracovin, Lord and Emperor of the Dracovin Empire, and welcome. It is time to continue my discussion on the 5th edition of Dungeons & Dragons, 5th Ed D&D. Well, we were talking about optional downtime activities when we were talking about when we were discussing things last time. Today, I have a couple more optional downtime activities your players can participate in. Remember, you as the Dungeon Master, since we've been discussing information in the Dungeon Master's Guide, can choose whether your players can participate in these or not, if you will use them in your game. First off is carousing. Carousing is effectively spending some downtime within town, socializing, trying to unleash some of the stress of the adventure. You're throwing money out there, you're spending money. You spend money during your carousing period as if you had a wealthy lifestyle. At the end of your period that you've gone carousing and spending money and splurging, you roll on a chart. And you will add your character level to that, and depending on what you got, depends on the effects of your carousing. It has a whole list of them. You'll take a look and see what happens. Now you can also craft a magic item. The fact is that magic items are traditionally the purview of the Dungeon Master. Dungeon Master will determine where and when players get magic items, but sometimes there might be a desire for a magic item that the players do not have. Then they can come to the game. Then they might come to you as a Dungeon Master and see if they can craft one. If you will allow it, crafting a magic item is a lengthy and costly process. Your players will have to meet a number of requirements in order to craft it in the first place anyway. They have to have the formula for the magic item. If they don't know how to make it, doesn't matter. They have to be a spellcaster and have the appropriate spell slots open of a level that would be connected to the level of spells within the magic item itself. So, need the appropriate spell slots open, and then you need the appropriate level. There are certain levels, depending on the rarity of the magic item that you're creating, that you have to meet in order to create a magic item of that rarity. That is a minimum. Now, the Dungeon Master can also determine whether certain items can be made or not made by you. Regardless of your trying to find the formula for it, they could say it's impossible if they don't want that item in their game. There could also be requirements your Dungeon Master could add. Special materials, special locations that might be required in order to forge the sword, making mini adventures in and of themselves in order to gain this material and craft this item. Now, the total cost is listed in the chart along with the minimum level requirements. You make progress at 25 gold pieces worth of work per day in creating this magic item. That means it's going to take a long time for more powerful magic items. Hence, that's actually going to be the cost that you're going to have to spend to create it, but it also helps determine the amount of time. So it's time and cost, as we were talking about. Costs can be adjusted to suit your games depending on situations. If a magic item requires a certain spell that it will be particularly casting, you are required to have a slot open that you would be able to cast that spell each day. If that spell requires material, you're going to be required to have that material available each day. And it will be consumed each day. The exception would be if the item itself only casts that spell once. Then you only need that material once. Now, you don't have to work on this alone. A group of characters can work on creating a magic item. When they work together, each one of them has to meet the requirements. Have to be spellcasters, have to be at the right level, have to have the spell slots available. But then each of these spellcasters can each contribute 25 gold pieces worth of work per day. So effectively it becomes 25 gold pieces of work per day per person working on it, and they can combine their efforts to create magic items much faster. Now, when you're creating a magic item, you can traditionally create any that are listed within the Dungeon Master's Guide, but sometimes there might be one that's outside the purview of that you want to create. There are custom rules for creating magic items. I will cover at a later time just a little bit about it, but just know now there are custom rules that are also possibly allowed, again, if your Dungeon Master allows it. Now, while you are crafting a magic item, you can live a modest lifestyle without paying its cost. You don't have to pay that cost. It's included in your attempts to create this. Or you can have a comfortable lifestyle at half the cost per day. Now, a character can also spend their downtime trying to indoctrinate themselves, gain renown within a certain organization. Indoctrinate, trying to gain renown within a certain organization, improve their standing with them. This is doing minor tasks, socializing, various things like that. In order to raise your renown, you must spend an amount of days equal to your current renown score times 10. At the end of that time period, you raise your renown by 1. So if your renown's 1, it'll cost you 10 days. If your renown's 10, it will take you 100 days of, well, socializing in order for your renown to go up to 11. Now, you can also spend your time in pious activities. This means you have to be a religious individual and be part of some kind of church. You'll spend your time with that church, helping with various rites, helping with various activities, and any time that you're not doing that, you will spend in meditation. Of course, if you have to be of the certain religion that this facility is. Now, if you are a priest of that, a high priest of that, you can effectively use this time period to do things like weddings, funerals, various other types of indoctrinations. It doesn't need to be a high priest in order to maybe do some sacrifices to your god. If you are a lesser priest, just one that isn't the high priest, you could also participate and help the high priest out during this time period. Regardless, for 10 days spent here, you gain an inspiration at the start of each day for 2d6 days. So I gained some inspiration for being pious. You could purchase. Now, you can run a business. For running a business, well, it has nothing really to do with being in a dungeon, but there are opportunities for you to get a business, whether it's something you buy, inherit, or even get as a reward from some various organization that gives it to you. You can choose to spend your time running that business. After your downtime, regardless if you spent time running it or not, you will roll a percentile. You will add the number of days you spent working with that business to that percentile. This will tell you how successful the business is, whether you earned money, stayed the same, or lost money. Should you have lost money, you must pay that debt. If you do not pay that debt and let the business begin to, well, fail, then on the next time it would roll a check, you will subtract 10 from its check, and it will continue to fail. Unless you go in there and pay off its debt and begin to make it successful again. But that's it for today. So I went over a number of optional downtime activities. These are really optional. All of these are things that you could allow your players to do, or disallow them as a DM. You can choose whether or not they're going to do any of these various things. But they are downtime activities they could then do during their large amounts of downtime they will most likely have. Each of them has their advantages and disadvantages to add them into your game. Look at them, choose carefully, and if you want your players to use them, let them know they have the option when it comes to downtime. You want to know all your players' options. In the next episode, we're going to finish up the last few optional downtime activities your players can do, and then we'll begin to move on from there. But if you have any questions, comments, anything you want to say, anything you think I left out, please leave in the comments below. Please like, share, and subscribe. It shows support for the channel, the Empire, the work I do. If you want to show some extra support, you can go check out my Patreon, link description below. There's some great rewards there, helps to grow and improve the channel and the Empire. Regardless, until the next time, I bid you farewell.